finger at me. That is just not the case.
Yeah.
So, all right, back to the show.
Yeah,
let's
bring
go.
it up. Let's go.
All right, so this from an article from Business Insider. A severe recession may be coming in 2024 as a stock market job market flash warning signs, one strategist says. So this is a bit of a long one, but bear with me to the end. The quote in the end is fucking beautiful. Mm-hmm. Nothing says I listen to the higher standard more than this last quote.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get to the end, okay? In a note Friday, Dietrich. Is it Dietrich or Dietrich? Dietrich? It's a...
Diet Rich.
Dietrich pointed to monster gains investors have seen in the S&P 500 this year, with the benchmark index notching its best month of the year in November. That's crazy. We're at the highest, most restrictive Fed funds rate we've seen in a long time. Mm-hmm. And the market still has its best run in November.
I mean, this is doubling down on Q3 GDP hitting, being revised up to 5.2%.
But he explains this, and it's interesting. That rally has largely been fueled by expectations the Federal Reserve will cut rates early next year. But rate cuts likely aren't coming until the economy tips into a downturn, Dietrich says. Investors shouldn't count on the central bank lowering borrowing costs unless the U.S. economy falls into a severe recession, which may happen early next year, Dietrich said again. The Fed typically starts cutting rates when there is a sharply slowing economy and rising unemployment, meaning a recession.
Yeah, and why shouldn't anyone or investors, Odin, can you scroll up, please? Why shouldn't investors think that the Fed will cut rates unless there is a sharp downturn?
Well, there's a number of reasons, but the most obvious one is look, they're trying to get to a target rate of 2%, okay? Mm-hmm. And the probability of getting there, despite how much movement we've seen from 9.1% down to where we are today, is really, really, really unlikely without there being things like home values coming down and the 10-year treasuries rising. And in any world where those things all happen and coalesce at this perfect time,
right? That's
a recession, kids.
100%. And they also don't want to see a resurgence in inflation like they did in the 70s, right? Where a 2 to 3, 4 year problem out of nowhere became a decade problem.
Yeah. So think about it like you're in the horror movie, right? If I walk up to somebody and I shoot them and they're on the ground, if I don't give them the double tap,
yeah.
Right? That motherfucker might come back. That's how all these horror movies work.
Is that the vernacular they use, the double tap?
Yeah, you got to double tap the economy. Look, we shot the economy in the chest right now. It ain't dying.
No.
It's a zombie economy coming back to life.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to shoot it in the head.
You have to, yeah, headshots.
Yeah, headshot, double tap. It's just science. This is clearly why I'm a good economist.
Got it.
Yeah. All right, so signs of a recession are starting to build. Dietrich notes the stock market's 20% rally up this year is one such warning, he said, as the S&P 500 typically posted outsized gains in the months leading up to a downturn. That was the case prior to the 2001, 2008, and 2020 recessions, the last 3 consecutively, for the record, when stocks rallied sharply before the economy began contracting. There are other stock market disconnects that are making the case that the economy will soon roll over into a downturn, he added. Though the S&P 500 is up overall for the year, the S&P 500 equal weight index, which instead of giving certain market cap companies more weighting in the overall equation, you weight them all evenly. And somebody else in our office has pointed this out to me as well, which is more representative of the average stock, has fallen into correction territory. So if you take the S&P 500 and you look at all companies evenly across the S&P 500 and you get rid of the weighting for the significant outliers like the Magnificent Seven, then you've got a much darker picture.
Yes, exactly.
So here's the monumental quote, the one we cap this, the one that tells you that Dietrich is clearly a fan of the show. And I'm quoting here, to think that after a 13-year bull market, we will not see a normal cyclical bear market recession is to believe that the business cycle has been miraculously repealed after 400 years of historic stock market cyclical data. The belief that this time will be different, it never is, he said, investors' recession outlook. So,
yeah, man. That's like the 5 most dangerous words when it comes to like this time in any like bear market, bull market cyclical pattern, right? Is this time will be different?
Yeah.
It's not the case, man. I think what we need to explain to people is what is a cyclical bear market? Like why do we need to have it? Why is it part of the process?